Hey everyone, this is Gary Kay, and we are doing another pre-ISE rants and raves. This one I think is a big one, and that's because the products have just been launched, and I'm really excited about both products. One in particular, so I've asked Nathan Coutinho to join me from Logitech. Nathan is the global head of strategic partner relationships and market insight. That's a lot, Nathan.
It's a lot. It's a long title.
You and I did a podcast together. I don't know, probably 3 or 4 months ago. It was awesome, by the way. Thank you very much for having me as a guest on your show. It's a great plug, the fact that you have a show. You'll be at ISE as you always are. Logitech's been a great supporter of the show. In Hall 2, booth M300, and we should jump right in on it because some big news. Where should we start, Nathan? Because you kind of launched 3 things at once.
Yeah, so let's start with Logitech Spot. I think that's interesting because it's different for us. It's basically the way I look at it is a super sensor. It can do a lot of different things. It can do the temperature, humidity, presence detection in the room, particulate matter. I mean, there's a lot of different things that it can do. But what we're really trying to solve for is we're trying to figure out what customers are doing in all their spaces. Now, not just the ones that have a rAVe bar in it, or in the near future, a rAVe board. But, like you have a lot of non-bookable spaces. You have a lot of bookable spaces that don't have any technology in them, right? Maybe just a phone, maybe no phone at all. So how do we know how often people are in there, how often they're booking it, basically that kind of information. So Spot solves for that and more. But basically, we made it really super simple to install. It's you can install it with a self-adhesive peel, stick it on the wall, connect it to a rAVe bar or another device of Logitech's, and off you go.
Yeah, and it's a little, as it shows in the image here, it's a little, it's like a little, it looks kind of like a little small light bulb in a way. I mean, it just kind of hangs on the wall there. What is that? What is that stuff that everyone uses to hang pictures that has double sticky? What is that called?
3M double-sided tape. Yeah,
exactly. It just sticks on like that. You can put it anywhere. Now, what's interesting about it that I think this, and it has a battery so you can recharge it. The thing that's interesting about this is what you said about it doesn't just go in rooms with rAVe bar products or with Logitech products. It goes in any room. I think that's interesting because this gives integrators a new market entry, right? To do other things for businesses, and monitoring the environment is going to be a big thing. It may not be a big thing where you are right now, but it will be a big thing as buildings become smarter and people start caring about that. And in some places they already are. But also it allows you to, as you said, know what you're using, how something's being used, and that's going to provide some insights that are going to be invaluable. And if you're an end user, these insights are invaluable.
I mean, think about it, Gary. Like the world has changed so much since the pandemic. It was already starting to change before the pandemic, but now there's people that are still doing this thing called hybrid. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that anymore. No one likes the word hybrid anymore.
Yeah.
But everyone has different office spaces. They've remodeled since the pandemic, right? So there's all these spaces that, other than having someone watch to see who's going into the room, you really don't know if they're comfortable, if it's being occupied. I mean, there's so many analytics that we can actually use. And that's what we're really going out to do with this new sensor.
So let me ask some basic questions.
Yeah.
So it can connect to, for example, your calendar and tell who was in the meeting and give more, like you can connect the dots if you wanted to with more and more data, the more connectivity you give it. Because I feel like this thing is something that eventually Logitech will start doing announcements on partnerships and APIs.
Yeah, so we don't actually detect people in the room or the actual meeting like attendees because again, we want to make sure we're using data for data's sake in terms of being able to understand what the people are doing in the room, how they're using the room rather. So we're basically connecting the sensor to either a rAVe bar or a scheduler outside. We also have a gateway option. So if a customer has no video bars or no Logitech technology in the offices, you can still use the device. And the best part is we can then take the data. If you don't want to use, we have really elaborate, insights that are created with our sync platform. If a customer wants to use the Microsoft platform, like Places as an example in the future, or Zooms, we can just give them the data. They don't have to use our insights. So we've made it fairly scalable and fairly open for everyone to be able to integrate. And I'm glad you mentioned partnerships because besides Microsoft and Zoom at the onset, we're also doing Samsung SmartThings, Metricus, as well as AppSpace, and more to come.
Okay, good. Another big announcement I thought it was a big announcement. I started using the term collaboration board, like I forget what year I started that, like 2018, but then everybody all of a sudden liked that term. And I know you didn't necessarily use the term, but basically you launched a collaboration board. You launched a,
We did.
tell us about a 65-inch collaboration board.
It's a 65-inch board, and we wanted to do something unique. One of the big challenges, and we've seen these boards over the years. I know I've tested a lot of them, even
Yeah.
when I was at a reseller a couple of years ago. But the biggest challenge we had was the fact that the camera was always on top, and the larger these displays get, you basically have this camera placement issue, and now this camera on the top is looking down at the people. So if you're on the remote end, you're basically like the eagle in the room, right? No one wants that CCTV type feel. So one of the big things we did is we made the camera system essentially flip around. So we can mount it with the camera on the top or the camera at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And because, this can be a mobile board, we built our own cart as well. The unique thing, when you probably saw this with the cart, is the cart can flip the entire board with just one pull of the latch at the bottom. So we made it really, really ergonomically friendly. And Gary, this is one of the things customers have asked us for. They've built all these beautiful open spaces in their offices, right? But guess what? Some of the tables are regular height and some are high boy tables, right?
Yeah.
So with a high boy table, you have to use the camera on the top.
Right.
And the low boy table, it's much more beneficial to use at the bottom. So now anyone can just basically flip the board back and forth.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what I did really like about, what I really appreciate about it is because I've been on sort of like a tear about how I don't believe collaboration boards should be mounted. I think that they're going to be used more often if they're portable and movable. And so I love the fact that you are providing a cart integration with it, and the fact that you can flip it. So I think those are two big advantages there. I love the product. Now, one thing that you've been asked for, obviously, is can we add more sights to Sight cameras to a facility? And you launched that yesterday as well.
Well, we announced that it's coming out in beta fairly soon. So we will have it shown at ISE. So we're excited to show the world what it looks like. It'll be in beta for a couple of months and then it'll release. It's been a long road. And as you can imagine, adding the first sight with smart switching, which we showed a couple of months ago, right? Now that you can basically, the camera follows, depending which camera is on, it'll follow where you're looking. So you always have that personal connection with the person that's in the room. But adding another camera adds basically 2 more cameras, 7 more mics, right? So as you can tell from a computational perspective, there's more to do, but we've got it done. So, now you'll see it in beta. And
does the smart switching seamlessly integrate the second camera regardless of where it's placed? And can you block one of the cameras if you wanted to? For example, if you had to locate the second one all the way in the back, can you use one of the 2 cameras and not both? Or how would that work?
You could just basically mute it. Like we've had customers ask that before, like, hey, I don't want to be on camera anymore. We just want to use that camera. You could do that. There's also controls in the tap or tap IP you can also use depends on which system you're using. That's either Zoom or Microsoft or Google. You can control it a little bit differently, but you can do that. You can change the cameras and turn them on.
All right, so that's 3 products. The fact that you can daisy chain the Sight, and it's to 2, right? You can daisy chain it. Okay. The Rally Board 65, I guess it's called, right? 65 inches, which means that maybe we'll see different sizes one day, maybe. And then we have Spot. Kudos to whoever named it. Pretty simple. And that's what it kind of looks like. All 3 of those will be in your booth at ISE. Now, if you're not going to ISE, we're going to actually shoot videos on how all this stuff works. We're going to go to Logitech's booth. If you're going to go to ISE, you can go to Hall 2, booth M300, and go see it for yourself. Make an appointment if you want to be shown around. In the meantime, remember, we're going to go there and cover everything. So if you're watching this after ISE, all you got to do is go to ravepubs.com/ISE. Type in Logitech in the video search window, and you have it. Nathan, thank you very much for joining. I appreciate you doing this, and I look forward to seeing you at ISE.
Thank you, and see you in Spain.
Yep.